Hello and welcome. Here we are. Okay. So, today is Miscellaneous Friday, where, assuming I've gotten everything right here, we shall work on a variety of things. I mean, it is Miscellaneous Friday, in which there's not really a scheduled thing. So, today we will work on the map, of course, for Solo Sunday, and probably ramble about a variety of other things. So, let's do that. At least we'll try, for the most part, to be a bit more focused in our ramblings, so we don't go onto so many different topics in such a short amount of time. We'll be more specific on topics, I suppose. Well, let's get to it then. Here we are. Okay. So, one final check to make sure I have the right file to work on open, which would be one of these. Anyway, here we are. It's not like we need our statistics sheet open to work on a map. I really should organize all of these files. It does make finding what to click on a bit difficult, but here we are. Okay. So far, I believe, as I stated before, our protagonist, Juliana Aldis, will be making her way into a sort of rundown city area to acquire a target. We are going to have to, well, for the most part, it's not like we have to, but we are going to probably want some of this city there for that. So we'll work on that, and probably, I suppose, a good topic for that to ramble about is we'll try and keep our ramblings focused on map design. So far, we've worked on a bit of the city here. As you might be able to see from our non-overview map, this section here is representative of this section here. But that's not too important, to be fair, but it's just an interesting note. We will have to connect it to the rest of the city, so let's work on that. When designing a city, I think, well, even if I've stated it before, we'll go over it. I forget what I've stated in which section, so, you know. When working on a city, there are several things you need to consider. For instance, what goes where, different districts, residential versus industrial versus commercial and all that, and where to place them. If you want to make a somewhat accurate city, of course you must, well, when world building and designing, an important thing to know is you must know basically how things are done in order to break how things are done. I don't claim to know exactly how city design is done. As I believe I've stated before, I leave that to the imperial government. They usually handle, well, usually the local populace and the governments, sub-governments, of course, handle all those matters. I more command the big picture of our imperial systems, more so than the city layouts, but I'll do my best here. Here we have, well, sort of, where's our pointer? There we are. We have a sort of industrial section up here, a sort of government section-ish in this area, a sort of commercial section here, something under construction here, and I'm thinking of a residential section down in this section, maybe, and maybe over here. We'll figure it out as we go, of course. As I think I've stated before, every one of these grids outlined by yellow is about a kilometer. So that is what we have to work with. Let's see. So we do want to connect it to here. Easiest way to start that is to just put some streets down that actually connect it. Luckily, the way we... Okay, I was concerned there for a second. Luckily, the way we created the grid, I saw this wouldn't line up, and I was like, oh no, but I forgot they are too wide, usually. There we go. So the way we set this up, even though it's not like the most organic of cities, I suppose we could make it that way, because so that would get... Okay, let's get into a bit of a thing here. So the way map tools works for drawing is we are limited to, I believe, 400. Nope, not 400. It's either 400 or 300. Let's see. Is this the right one? Yep. We're limited to 300 widthwise for a plain drawn line, which is not really a problem. But, I mean, in this map, it's not a problem because every square is 50 feet. So when drawing a map like this, we can literally have it set to like the proper number, I believe, is 50, and have it be a windy road. The problem arrives when we work on a map like this. No, wrong one, sorry. Nope, this is the right map. We just zoomed out. Here we are. When we work on a map like this, which is a one square is 5 feet. The problem we face here is if we set it to maximum, which is 300, as you can see, our roads are, I believe, I don't actually remember the distance. Let's quickly measure that. Our roads are 40 feet. I mean, if we're not counting the sidewalk, of course, but our roads are 40 feet across. Sometimes they can be more. If we're making a highway or something, it can be different. But the problem is if we were to draw a road, you see there's one square on the left, one square on the right, give or take. Let's bring up the grid. See, basically one square on the left, one square on the right. Meaning we have to do a bit of, like, it's possible. It's just annoying drawing roads with the tool because it is limited to 300. It won't go larger than that, and thus we have a bit of a problem when making winding roads. And when I make maps of cities, I like making it, as you see here, probably, we have a large scale and a small scale. As I mentioned, this translates over to this. I mean, it's not 100% accurate in its lineup, of course, but we try and be accurate in it, and it just gets a bit messy because we're limited to 300 there, and it just causes a few problems, basically. It's not the most ideal, but that is the way it is. So we usually go with a grid layout. Also, making a grid layout is a lot easier for transferring between the two, and it just makes everything a lot easier. Of course, there are organic cities. I say organic. Of course, there are literal organic cities made by, like, insectoids or the Ents there, two factions in the galaxy. But there's also, you know, like, cities aren't always grid-based. Sometimes they have winding roads and the like, and that gets difficult with with what's available, basically. So let's actually work some more on the city, I suppose. Let's see. What do we want to make this square? Perhaps a large park? No, no. We'll make it a sort of complex, like a shopping complex. We'll place a sort of place to park. We'll grab some buildings, place some of those around, with areas to drive through, of course, and areas that could be parking. So we'll place some of those. We'll grab some different building types from here. Here we go. Have a sort of larger square-ish building over here. Place that one right up against there. Let's grab another. We'll just steal this one. Place that there. Yeah, sort of like that. And let's grab one of these. And this time we'll edit it slightly to make it like that. Yeah, I want something about that park. And I suppose we'll make that a little bit shorter, giving us a way through. No, we'll make it longer, making it so there's no way through from there. And like so, we've made another little block area. The annoying part is going to be transferring that over to the full scale map. But there we go. Let's see. I suppose. Well, almost messed that one up. We want to select it like that and sort of place it there. Let's have that there. Making a sort of larger, it's not going to go any further than this, but sort of the entrance from the far more residential area. Which means let's cut it off with, let's surround the residential with commercial. Nope, that should have stayed there. There we go. Oh, we messed up. Let me fix that real fast. There we go. A lot better. I mean, it's a bit layered, but it's fine. So, that's more how it should be to line up. Very good. And then to our south there, we'll place one of these. Like so. There we go. And that will be sort of the cutoff of the residential section that leads into commercial, and ideally we can connect that commercial bit to this commercial bit, or maybe have one large residential building somewhere in here. We'll grab that. Hopefully I didn't place all that on the wrong layer. Doesn't look like I did. Very cool. Nope, same one. Unfortunate. I thought that was different from that one. But we have a solution for that, which is we will grab that one. Luckily, the way I set this up, these are mostly interchangeable. There we go. And then we'll have two smaller ones up here. Probably. Let's see. So the idea is to have a sort of rundown city section that our protagonist is going to head through on their way to secure the target, and sort of, in some way, we're going to get them stuck there. That way we have a sort of section that we can work with more than once. Assuming the bot doesn't absolutely force us out of the location, which is possible. But I'm going to try and make sure the bot does not do that. Okay. Here we are. Ooh, I have an idea. Since we have sort of a tank area here, we could sort of just make this section all storage tanks. Oh, that was the wrong button there. There we go. That section's just various storage tanks. As you can see here, we are going a bit detailed, not as detailed as possible, of course, but we're going making custom squares for it. Of course, how detailed you want your map depends on the scale of what you're doing. As I said before, I think I said before, details in mapping are, it really depends on how much time you're going to spend there. When making a map, you have to measure, well, it depends on what you're doing, of course. If you're just having a run through and shoot, you don't need details like placing individual papers on a table. But if you're doing a sort of survival storytelling sort of thing, you might want that. It really depends on what you're doing. But even when, I've been over this before in my previous stuff, but even when making a shooting sort of map, like where your player's going to be running through shooting, that doesn't mean you don't need detail. Let's go over to a map that I did with an example of that. I think it was this one. No, it was not this one, but we'll cover the idea of it. So, when making a map, this is an asteroid facility we're working on a while back. We spent like half a session here before leaving it, unfortunately, but here we go. So, as you see here, when we worked on this map, we had a lot of ways around to get through to different sections. To get to here, let's say we want to get here, you could, of course, go this way. You could, of course, go around, through, and this way. Why not up and across there? Or you could go all the way around. There's many ways to approach this area you're trying to get to. A variety of passageways. Also, when making a map, not only do you need to consider how you're designing it, This one we wanted a sort of passageway, sort of back alleys of the asteroid to get to any specific location. But when doing this, when making a map, let's say we're doing a combat encounter, there are many ways to get there, but also you might want to place boxes or debris or things jutting out or things going in or doorways. Like I said, we didn't spend a lot of time here, so it's not like we went into vast detail in the thing, but these are like stores. So maybe there's a door here and a door there, and maybe there's a wall there that does separate them. But as I said, we provide a living world. So perhaps the players could bust through that wall. Perhaps there is a way in which there's a maintenance hatch you could crawl through to get there. Maybe let's go simpler, far simpler. This passageway will have debris here, a crate here, so you could, if the enemy is running through, they're zigzagging past, you could try and get a boost to your speed by going through the rough terrain, or maybe you're going to take cover behind the box as somebody's firing. Maybe they'll duck into the building. There's having detail even in a combat map, like rough terrain in the passageways. Maybe there's a crowd of people here. Are they going to scatter? If they scatter, are they going to run which direction? These details can help you build a sort of... It helps create the encounter. Even if it is just a combat encounter, it helps create the encounter, how you set up the passageways and all that. And that's all can be very relevant in creating a combat encounter even. Far more than simple just having the square buildings here. Of course, like I said, we didn't spend a lot of time here. We didn't even expect to go here. Technically, our ship just had a sort of malfunction. It wasn't with Juliana Aldis. I believe it was with our previous character. Sort of, we were trying to leave the area, had a sort of malfunction and crashed here, and simply just called up our person to get a repair. So we didn't spend a lot of time on the station. So, I mean, a lot of even the work setting it up like this was pretty much wasted. But that's just sometimes how it goes. Anyway, point is, all this kind of thing can be relevant even to a simple combat encounter. The details. It's not like you need to put individual pieces of paper on the thing, but it's an option. I don't think, unfortunately, I have any of my older maps in this campaign file. Yeah, I don't think I have any of my older maps in this campaign file. I mean, here's a somewhat example of a slightly more detailed thing, but not really. Do we have any of the detailed maps? I don't think we do. It's unfortunate. No, that's the one from there. No. As you can see, putting stuff in rooms and the like, but still not almost detailed. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we have any of the more detailed ones. I believe we have this old... Oh, grabbed the wrong layer there. It's the token layer, yeah. This one's slightly more detailed than what we put in the map, of course. But there's different varying degrees of detail you can put into maps depending on what you're trying to do. Eventually, we might work on one of those. Because, like I said, the way we run Galactic Requiem is a open sort of... It's a world. We provide a world. So, as far as we know, which I don't know, we run a solo campaign using a bot, as stated before, many times. For all we know, we can do what we want, but we might start a base. We could start a base, put all sorts of things in it. Let's see, where's our map? This one, yep. So, when I say that, what I mean is, there's actually, we have an entire, I think I've been over this, we have an entire organizational system. Like, every item, technically, I mean, I say every item does stuff. I mean, every item technically has stats, but every item also sort of does stuff. We have an entire system for building facilities. It's part of our organizational system, but it's so a lot of tabletop RPGs have. I don't. I mean, not a lot of tabletop. I mean, often tabletop RPGs have scale problems. Not really problems, but often in a tabletop RPG, you will have differences between scale. It's one of the reasons we use D20. It's not the best for what we do, but we have so much work already into it, and it allows us to do one thing that others, as far as I've seen, don't, and that's scale. And by that, I mean an example is I can't think of the exact one. It's because it's a lot of them, to be fair. Have different rules between a person and a starship. A person has a health that relates to this, while a starship's health is like structure points that have unrelated to character points in every way system. Or vehicles use a separate. You sometimes have vehicles that use the same system, but though you have vehicles use separate systems, starships have a complete separate system for their health and damage. Here, everything has a unified health and damage system. Technically, as ridiculous as it may sound, organizations have the same stats, sort of, as people and starships and everything else. It is affected differently. I mean, admittedly, it is affected differently, but basically, everything's interchangeable. You can damage an organization by killing its people. You can damage a starship as a person. Now, of course, damage reduction means if you have a pistol and you're firing at a starship, letting off pistol rounds at a starship doing 2d6, you're never going to get through its damage reduction unless you were to get into the starship and, say, fire into its actual electronics panels, which would affect the starship. As you see, there's not a difference in, there's a difference in damage and numbers, but there's not a difference in scale. If you were to, let me put it this way. Here's a far simpler. A person can fire a rocket launcher at a tank. You will likely damage a tank with a rocket launcher, depending on the type of rocket you're using, of course, but a person can fire a rocket at a tank. Depending on the starship, let's say a battleship, your rocket's not going to affect the battleship. But the tank, with its 120 millimeter cannon, might do damage to a battleship. You can do damage to the tank can do damage to the battleship. Now, let's say you're fighting, say, a corvette. Your rocket that could damage the tank can damage the corvette. And, it's not like the battleship is incapable of being damaged by the rocket. It's just likely your rocket is doing a certain amount of damage, and the battleship has likely 100 to 120 damage reduction, which your rocket's probably not going to overcome. You could probably get a better rocket to overcome that damage reduction, depending, but point is, all of it technically uses the same system of calculation. Therefore, a person can theoretically damage a starship if they have the right equipment, and it's not like you have some sort of scale difference of, well, there's no way to translate the two things between each other, which some systems don't have. Some systems don't have a way to translate between, like, a person and starship, even if you have something capable, or if you're firing at a specific control panel, which we do have locational damage for attacking things, and all of that. Let's see here. I have a specific sheet that goes into what I was going to say. The Nation book. Yeah, here we are. So, as I said, most things are interchangeable, including organizations. They have their own system that's real neat for sending out units to complete tasks and the like. And these units are constructed of people. And these people do actually count against the health of the organization. Of course, nations are slightly different than organizations and how they work, but they sort of have a similar thing. But you're not really going to damage a nation as a person. I mean, you can, because of course you could attack important individuals inside of the nation, which would affect the nation's stats, or you could damage specific structures, which would affect the nation's stats. But it's not as simple to attack a nation as it is an organization, because organizations lose health for like every certain number of people in it, while a nation technically does, but galactic nation scale counts individuals in the billion. So good luck with that. But, it's possible. You could damage their infrastructure. It's all, point is, everything here in Galactic Requiem is connected. An individual can affect the mass combat scale. An individual can affect a starship, theoretically. An individual can affect a organization, theoretically. An individual can affect a nation, theoretically. And vice versa, all the way down. A starship can, of course, bombard a planet. A nation can, of course, send out a strike force to deal with a person. An organization can do that too, while also using their more crisp system methods. Using crisp, a nation or organization can attack your assets. It doesn't need to attack you directly, much as how an organization can attack an organization using economic pressure. And there's also concepts that are part of our CRISP system. For instance, you can fight against economic downturn because there are random events that happen every so often in nation and organization scale, like economic boom or economic downturn, or literal just concepts. I'd have to open up the book to find all the lists, but there's all these concepts that you can actually engage with your stats and skills to fight against these concepts, which is how I mentioned that, like, even being a business owner involves a sort of, if depending on how detailed you want to be. Of course, if you're running a business in Galactic Requiem, we don't force you to, say, go into these heavy things. Let's say you're a factory worker. You could just roll a profession check. Roll a profession check, you earn this much money. Or if you want to, this week. Or if you want to go in depth and have fun with it, you go in there and you're going to engage, you're going to fight this project you're working on. The project has this, it's this difficult, so it has roughly this on its stats and skills that are required for it. And you sort of make a roll. I'm going to use my mechanic skill to kind of get this to work. I happen to have rolled an actual 20 here, but so you do really good against it, and it will try and, will a problem arise in this project? It rolls a 17, which is enough to make a problem arise in this sort of project. And so can you fight against that with a roll of a 9 plus your things? Maybe you're getting there, so it gets some points against you, and you can have an entire, basically, give and take sort of battle with the concept of this project you're working on. Really depends on how detailed you want to get into it. But yeah, now where was I? Once more, off topic there. Here it is. Requests from organizations, skills. Here we are, materials. So organizations also provide you more actual physical benefits. Like you can request resources from them, and depending on if you have workers, they can provide you bonuses, and there's an entire system for it. Perhaps we'll get into it someday. Let's see here. But basically, we have an entire system for facilities and the like. So if you have a property, you can sort of build onto it. Perhaps you have a series of toolkits you have there that'll give you a bonus on a specific series of skill checks. And you have like a You can get all sorts of consoles, devices, materials, toolkits, workstations, work areas, facilities that will give you all sorts of bonuses in the skills and stats you're using in a certain area. And this doesn't only apply to organizations, it applies to properties and the like. So there are benefits to getting a property to have things in. And of course, that's not limited to properties. You can have those things in your starship. A starship counts as a property. I mean, assuming you can fit it in there and it has enough power supply and all that, you can put all that in your starship if you want a sort of mobile area. And there are benefits and downsides to having a starship versus a property on the ground. For instance, depending on the local laws, you might need licenses. There might be prices for docking. Not every space nation allows certain things in their territory. Is your starship armed? Depending on what it's armed with, you may be limited to the outer area of a star system, not able to go into the sort of civilized area. Therefore, what, you're going to travel all the way back and forth when you want to work on a thing? Like, there's all sorts of benefits and downsides to everything for the most part, like whether you want a sort of actual property or a starship. Like, some places have laws against, like, working businesses out of starships. And so there's entire series of options and all that. Also, starship maintenance is honestly a pain. I mean, of course, not for me. Running a space empire kind of makes that irrelevant, but for, I assume, galactic citizens out there, having a starship can get possibly expensive. Look, I'm not good at this whole galactic citizen economics thing. Like, several trillion credits is a lot for your average galactic citizen, right? I would assume so. So, on the nation scale, we run everything in credit units, which are 10 billion credits. One credit unit is 10 billion credits. And let's just put it this way. One pop unit is a billion people. One credit unit is 10 billion credits. One credit is roughly equal to $1, give or take. So, yeah, I mean, when you have billions of people making billions of credit units, but I assume, like, let me look it up. Yep, it appears that given the fact that your average galactic citizen is making about, let's see, let's go over to our society book. Here we are. The average citizen is making about 4,000? That's not right. Nope, that is right. About 3 to 4,000 credits a month. So yeah, owning a starship's probably super expensive for them. Not only are starships expensive to buy, consider this. If you own a starship and you want to keep it working, there is a series of expenses you will likely need to pay. It says here, if it ever, doesn't lag out today, ideally. No, I should just use the offline version, to be honest. That'd make this so much easier. Nope, and it's experiencing a complete error. Come on. Trying to get prices from the book, but I mean, this is, again, one of those times in which, did I write out the prices? Yes, but I can't remember the exact pricing off the top of my head of what the rules were for Starship, the base Starship. Oh no. Sorry about that. Everything on our broadcaster, not the thing, but the internet part of it, decided to almost crash or something. Not sure. Luckily it didn't. Here we are. Ah, yes. So if you have a starship, let's say you have a personal starship, small personal starship. If you want to go somewhere, you're going to need fuel. So that fuel is going to cost you about 2,500 credits per month, and it's going to be 1 ton per month usually burned by your ship. So you have to start, we're starting with 2,500 credits per month if you want to travel. Now, you also need to spend on all the things that are in your ship, like food, life support, other, which is going to be about 10 credits per person per day, give or take. 10 credits per person per day. So 2,500, then 10 credits per person per day. And then on top of that, assuming you want your ship to continue to go, and it's a Corvette or below class vessel, I mean, because the capital ship takes 10 tons per month of operation of fuel, so that's 25,000 credits. But let's say you have a small ship, so 2,500, 10 credits per person, and then on top of that, every 6 months you're going to need maintenance, otherwise your starship might degrade, and trust me, you don't want that, especially if you're going to be flying it. So you're going to have to spend another 10,000 credits every 6 months, and then on top of that, you're probably going to have to dock the starship somewhere. So you're looking at 20 to 200 credits a day, depending on the local things. This is the average, by the way. So you're looking at 20 to 200 credits per day, maybe 200 credits per month for long-term storage if you're lucky, depending on what packages are offered for starship storage. And likely you're not going to want to store your starship because you might want to get to it quickly, because if you store it, usually they have a what's the word I'm looking for? Time to retrieve. So more than likely, you're probably going to be spending additional fees for having the starship docked at a port. And assumedly, so most starships aren't single-person operation unless they're really bad shuttles. You're also going to have to pay a crew, and there's just lots of expenses for keeping a starship in the green, because your crew's probably going to want to be paid well. So, yeah, it gets expensive running a starship. Let's see here. So where were we? But yeah, detailed maps. If we ever make a sort of base to work out of for Juliana Aldous, we might make a detailed map. But so far, she's traveling the galaxy, taking on mercenary. I say the galaxy. She hasn't left the Terran nations, but still. Let's see. What do we want here? I still want a big park. Kind of, maybe? I'm not sure. Instead of making it an entire park, we'll just sort of do that. That'll do. That's big enough of a park. Okay. And that's sort of the end of that section, so let's make some more commercial. We'll just grab some of these pre-generated blocks, make it a little bit easier on ourselves. There we go. This one I kind of want to change slightly, because it's not like we're absolutely stuck how we place them. We can always edit them. There we go. Do we have a different color to represent something here? Let's take both of those. Let's quickly make sure everything is still working. I realize after that slight error we had with our everything, that I have to make sure that everything is still working. Okay, everything is still working. Very good. I got a bit concerned there after our hiccup because I realized that sometimes after things like that happen, things will, not be working. There we go. I kind of am thinking of a sort of like, not downtown, but sort of somewhat commercial, but somewhat more, I don't know the word. Just a nice section of shops or something. And that will connect all the way over. Yeah, yeah. We do want another large residential building there. Let's see whether we can't grab a different kind. What would happen if we took that and sort of... Well, that's not going to work. I mean, it's going to work, but I need to fix it first. There. I don't know what that represents, but it'll be there. Sort of large structure there. We're not going to put a road crossing that one. We're actually going to make this a long section. In fact, we'll sort of have a big structure there. Why not? And we will make it not even go across there. We'll have it slightly break everything there. A little bit of non-standardness with it. It's always nice. I mean, there is a structure we work with our grid, but it is not like we're limited to that grid. We can make differences because that's just what happens. It's not like this place was built by robots. It might have been, but probably not. Actually, it wasn't. I can assure you, it's not like there aren't places built by robots or AI. It's not like AI and robots don't make strange things. They can. Anyway. Let's see here. This bit we will have standard. There we go. And let's actually throw a house block there. We're getting into the more standard bit, but still, let's just throw a house block section. Our city's coming along. There's still so much more to go. Like I said, though, it's not like we need it all pre-prepared because a bot is running it. So it's not like, well, the problem we face, it's both a benefit and the problem that the bot is going to basically send us there and we can map it as we go because it's a solo campaign. But also it means we don't know where exactly we'll go, and what we need mapped. If, like, for instance, if I were making this, I'd be like, okay, so we're going to have this section sort of where the players are going to find the crash site sort of here, and I want a sort of overlook area there, overlooking the crash site and the tall building here, and they can enter from this way. But since it's bot run, we don't know where it'll be, we don't know a lot of things. And we can map it as we go, but also it's who knows. I mean, I say bot run, but like I said, it is random. There's a series of charts and it's random, but we do have control over it because we do interpret how it all works. I'm not going to have this strange. That was a flaw on my end. There we go. Sometimes when making the grids, like I said, sometimes, I mean, it is fully fine to break the grid rules, but sometimes you want the grid rules to be followed, but you mess up, and that's what I had done there. There we go. Okay. And this one will go all the way across. We do want it to go all the way across there. No. No, no, no. Never mind, we don't want that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab that, place that here. We are going to place that there, however. And we will have this bit, sort of. There we go. Like I said, some things should be, slightly off-grid, slightly trying to make an organic city here. Here we are. Okay. It is far more difficult to map when I don't know exactly what we're going to do. Like I said, like I was saying before, if I knew where the players were going to go and I had an idea, I could work on it and then work out from the area with ideas. But as it's bot run, like I have no clue. So, like I said, we'll just work on that as we go, I suppose. Let's see. Here we are. Okay. Okay. So, we know that our team's going to go in here and they're sort of trying to get to a series. In the center, then, I suppose, where they're heading, we are going to want a sort of large series of arcology blocks. That is the one thing I do know that we are going for. What the? Oh, That's strange. Let me check something real fast. My apologies. Hmm. Okay. Sorry about that. I was looking at the lines of the grid and wondering why they were sometimes half disappearing and was concerned that I set their mode wrong. But I don't think so. There we go. The reason I'm placing a long street is so I don't break from the grid. And if you're wondering, then why, if you're placing a long street, don't you just follow the line? Because apparently the street lines up with the line. There's actually an answer for that, and that's because even if I did that, I would not know the left and right of it because I don't think the left and right fully lines up with the grid. It half does at the top, but I'm not sure if it lines up ish. There's slight problems with it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does line up. I don't know. It's not too important. I just want to make it so we can get to the sort of center section. There we go. Do we have any long side ones? We do. Good, good, good. There we are. Let's make sure I get this right, though. Okay. That should be accurate. Hopefully. Oh no. Are they supposed to cover each other or not? That's the hard question. I suppose we could have just done this. And that would answer our question. Like so. Okay. So we know what it's supposed to be like down here. And now we can place a sort of larger arcology block down there. I'll take one of these. Now, what I do want is a sort of one of these. Like that. Sort of in between blocks. Like so. Well, no, it would have to be one more over. There. That way we can do this. We'll have a sort of area surrounded by large structures, which is the sort of thing I'm going for here. Like I said, it is up to the bot, but we interpret it, and that is the picture I had in my mind when we were working on it of the crash site. Nope, one more over. There we go. I kind of want like a section that leads into the under part, like a sort of lower area. The question is how to go about that. One moment while I open my series of tiles. Here we are. Do we have tiles we can use to represent this? Probably. We'll grab that tile. We'll grab that tile. One of those. Do we have any pictures? Here we are. Structures. Do any of them look like they will? That's nice. We'll see if we can't use that. No, because it's not a square. We can make it work. And that. That should be enough. Okay. We'll grab that. Oh, we do need our square. So we'll copy that over to there. There we go. I do want a building. That we can sort of have. Like there, I suppose. In the same block, is it? This will do. Well, let's move everything and actually try our best here. A little bit smaller there. I don't think that one works. That goes there, that'll do. Let's grab our standard elevator token. Place that there. In fact, like so. We won't need that or that then. But what if we did? No, 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 no. Arrange. Bring that to the front layer. Size, free size. There. There's one other thing I want to place there that will make it a bit more. I sort of want an area that represents down, but none of them represent down. Not ideal. Oh, let's. Nope. Hit the wrong button there. Almost broke Oh, did break everything. Unbroke everything. Good. Okay. Oh, I have an idea. Let us go to our other image library. Wrong one. Here we are. That will do. That is good enough. There we are. And there's one last thing I want to add. This is not going to be to scale, but it will let us know that there's a way to ascend and descend on foot. For that, it's not going to be to scale, but nope. Also, wrong direction. State notes. Delete note. Properties. State. Here we are. Switch up to... Oh, that's strange. Up to down. Now. And that should give us a bit of a indicator that there's a way to walk down there. And that's sort of what I'm picturing for that. I also kind of want this to be open. Not empty, but far more open. A lot of, ooh, sort of like a smaller shopping area inside of the area, while still being surrounded by larger structures. For that, we make these, but we make them all like 2 to 4 in size, and we leave blocks between them to travel. So we'll work on that real fast. Let's even grab this and make a very small sort of grass area somewhere in the middle. Here we go. Size, free size. Yep. There will be a structure there. That can go there. Hmm. There we go. Now we just sort of arrange these to make a sort of area. There we go. One goes that way, one goes that way. Very nice. There we are. Feel like there's too much space here, but what do we place there? Perhaps like so. And like so. There. We have a sort of lower shopping sort of area to walk through there, and it's all going to be surrounded by large buildings. So for that, we're going to need a few of these. There we go. There we are. So if we fill these, it should be good enough to represent what we're going for. We messed it all up. Unfortunate. You know that whole thing I said about making sure that we got it right? Well, I messed one bit of it up. So we can fix it by going like that. There we go. All better. Because as you see here, anything to the right would be on a second road there, given the way our double road structure works. So that should have solved that little issue. Let's see whether we can't get some varied large buildings. There we go. Nope. We don't need that many, but it'll give us choices. There we go. Like so. Hmm. I'll actually put a copy of that one there, because not all of them should be different. There we are. Okay, copy. Well, let's just free size it. It's not like we're going to actually make a copy there. There we are. We'll put this strange one over here. There we go. Scale this one back down a bit there. Hmm. There we are. And lastly, so we have this sort of absolute block of structures here. Of course, the block continues onward and maybe with some, but this is like a heavily lower quality series of structures, I suppose. Sort of like the city center, but not really. Just a huge habitation section for the most part. This being a place in which they can go down to transit from point A to point B. Not the most ideal. I mean, it's all just a block, but that's sort of actually what we're going for, sort of. It would be a lot better if we actually did the stuff around it, because it would be more jagged after the center area, you know? It would spread out and there'd be some not some smaller structures, you know, it'd be a variety. But for now, it is just the center section, so. One moment. I'm going to go make coffee. I will be right back. Okay. I have ordered the conscripts to prepare the coffee. It should be done soon. So, where were we? Oh, yes. We have the center section of our city prepared, in which we expect the place to have crashed. I suppose we should actually prepare that. We require one shuttle. Preferably of... What is it? Terran design. Hmm. That will have to do. There we go. We want it to have sort of crashed. Assuming they were crashing, they'd be looking for an open area, so they were likely heading towards here. And given that that's a somewhat risen building, they likely crashed like that. The crash site's not super fresh, so they'll likely have it picked apart some, but we'll at least note that it's there. Okay. What else is there? Let's see. So we have that bit, which is mostly, I mean, that's one of the things we need. We're going to work on the city as we go some, I suppose. Then what else is there to do? Hmm. I suppose one of the options we have is, well, let's see. Well, I suppose since next thing should theoretically be Solo Sunday, in which we actually run. So let's go over the sheet one more time, then. Here we are. And you will see how all the bot works there, I suppose. So, here we have Juliana Aldous' sheet. Just checking it one more time before we go. So, Juliana Aldous is currently level 5 with, well, all this stuff. Most importantly, I've explained what it all is and some of the differences between the things. But as you can see here, I suppose we'll just go a bit more in detail. Juliana Aldous has simple weapon proficiency, meaning that she can use, well, knives, clubs, etc. Personal firearms proficiency, allowing the use of standard firearms. Advanced firearm proficiency, allowing the use of automatic fire. Light armor proficiency, medium armor proficiency, and heavy armor proficiency. Those should be somewhat evident as to what they do. They make lessened penalties when using those. Heroic Surge, which gives us an extra action once a turn. We can use it twice a day. Quick Reload makes reload an instant action. You'll see how actions work. I mean, if you know standard D&D, you know that there's 2 actions, and yes, Quick Reload makes reloading take half time, but for most part, a weapon with a magazine is reloaded as a free, basically. Controlled Bursts, which allows us to use burst attacks at +1 damage and +1 to hit. Archaic Weapon Proficiency, the use of melee weapons of all variety. Accuracy, which I believe gives us a plus to hit. No, it gives us a bonus to overcoming range penalty, I believe. Let's actually look that one up. It's been a while since I used it. Here we are. Core rulebook. It'll take a second. Here we are. Or not. That should have made it load, yes. Or still not. That's strange. Nope, there we are. Took a moment to load there. I suppose I will prepare next time by saving the most up-to-date offline versions of these because Google Docs does not like loading. Not in any quick manner. Come on, I'm looking for one thing. That's unfortunate. And it's just decided that it doesn't want to load in any reasonable fashion. Here we are. And it's locked up my entire screen for a good few seconds. That's great. The real challenge is getting Google Docs to work. Yeah, well, accuracy. +2 to offset the penalty of targeted or called shots, range penalties, and bypassing shield AC. Okay. Starship operation, which allows us to use starships without penalty. Hot-blooded, which is one of the neat feats that we have here. It's considered under the favored feat tree. Hot-blooded means that at the beginning of each combat, we gain 2 bonus action dice. If the situation worsens, we gain 2 additional bonus action dice. Specifically, the situation has to worsen for us to get more action die. And you can gain a total number of bonus action die equal to quadruple of your standard capacity. But yes, it basically allows us to get some action die regained. And we also have Coordinations Martial Arts, which is part of the martial arts system we have, which allows us to block, jab, and leg sweep, and gives us bonuses on certain attack moves. Well, it gives us 3 moves, and the moves we've chosen are block, jab, and leg sweep. So those are our feats. Then we have our skills, acrobatics, athletics, of course, which allows us to move around the world and strength check and all that. Computers, which allows us to interact with computers with, our skill checks. Culture's Galactic Standard, 3 out of 3 for the most part, so we're fully versed in the culture of Galactic Standard. We have 3 in mechanics, so a bit in mechanics, a lot in medicine, some in notice, and resolve real high because we do use that magical stuff. Resolve is used to concentrate, resist panic, and a variety of things. Don't got very many sciences. The only science I believe we have is Arcane. I believe we have, maxed out Arcane. Search, security, low end of that. Search being searching the world around, and security being disabling and constructing security devices. Streetwise, survival, and tactics. 83,900 Galactic Standard credits. We used to have more, but we spent it to get a hover bike and some new armor. We have 5 out of 28 days spent of our standard living costs before we need to spend money to upkeep our living, food and house costs and all that. We have spending cash 4, which gives us 1,600 credits a week. We got our medium combat armor. We got our heavy combat armor. We can only wear 1, but so we're probably going to wear our heavy combat armor. We got our targets limited laser rifle. Not bad. Even got some specialty anti-armor cells for it. Generic template double action autoloaded pistol. 9mm, of course, in case we need it. 2 random paperback novels. If you didn't know, every time so far our character Juliana Aldis has gone to a airport to travel from point A to point B, she's bought a novel. Our new hover bike that we're going to probably get to use, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't get damaged or anything, but we spent a lot of money on that hover bike. We got our 6 energy points. Actually, we should edit that. Oh no. To edit that, we're going to have to go into Google Docs. Let's just hope it doesn't explode this time. While we're waiting for that, we'll continue, because that should be 7 out of 7. Because we have rested and so forth, as I recall, so that should be maximum. We have our 2 action die, we have 1 favor. There's just our stat charts, neural data pad, that's our brain computer. We have an assistant AI in there. Let's see whether it's loaded. Nope, still going about. Nope, maybe it's worked. Good, good, it has worked. There we go. Okay. From there, we have our basic assistant AI, gives us a bonus on a lot of things, as does being connected to the net. There is an entire series of rules for robotics, cybernetics, AI, an AI in your brain assisting you, or using the net to assist you. There's an entire thing for that that hopefully you'll see, and I remember to get my full bonuses out of it. Our occupational bonuses and training additional feats. Oh yes, we have a contact with our Merc networker, low tier contact, but hopefully we can raise their status by doing some missions for them and the like. We have our survival kit with just all of our survival stuff. We've been over our last time, what's it called? Neural data pad and its hacker profile. Here we have our loaded programs. I believe, yeah, we have a good data pad, so we were able to load all our programs, being alert, program kill, user kill, armor, security network control, mover control, door elevator display control, terminal manipulator printer control, basically our loaded hacking programs, and our spells and spell effects to slap together. And there we have the background of Juliana Aldous. Raised as a military caster from a young age, wants revenge against the Terran nations that did it to her, wants to learn more about casting, and get a ship. Suspects that there are officials from her world on this planet supporting one of the sides of the wall, which is why we are specifically here. And yeah. So that's the basics of it. I mean, we've been at this for a while, so it'd be a lot to go over all of it. But I suppose we'll cut it a bit short and call it there. The coffee is prepared, so I'll go and have that, and then attend to some Imperial business. Next time is Solo Sunday, in which we actually run the game. We'll have the bot run the game, but partake in the game. That'll be good. So, thank you all for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy our ramblings. I'll see you all next time.